My name is Jackson Kerr, and today I'm going to be talking to you about prophetic keys to understanding our world today. I'm going to talk about a film which was released a little while ago, in late 2019. Now, sometimes in secular films and books and plays and even news stories, there are prophetic keys which are relevant to the coming time. When I speak about prophecy, I mean that God talks to us through stories, actions, films, the words of others, or in many other ways. God is infinitely creative, and there's no end to the way in which he may speak. In The Rise of Skywalker, a film from 2019, I think it was November, there was a scene in which had my family talking as we walked out of the theater. Rey, Poe, and their friends have found a way to a secret base of the Final Order, an organization with a massive fleet which is set on conquering the galaxy by force. Why am I talking about a Star Wars film, and what does it have to do with the prophetic realm? And why did it catch my family's attention when we saw it in the theater? To set up the answer to this question, we have to look back to 2016. 2016 was one of the most fascinating presidential elections in history. A career politician ran up against a man whose leadership experience comes from the world of business. I'm talking, of course, about the presidential election race between Hillary Clinton and Donald J. Trump. This race defied expectations, with Trump winning by a landslide despite nearly every mainstream news anchor predicting a Clinton victory. I found it entertaining to see the shock and outrage on these anchors' faces as they saw the votes come in. Why? Because I'd seen it coming. All the media had been speaking of was Clinton's impending victory. Yet from the posts I had read and people I'd spoken with, I knew there was a silent majority, a silent base, supporting Trump in his 2016 run. So why am I talking about The Rise of Skywalker, the Star Wars film? Well, God has many ways of talking, and sometimes it's through the movies and shows that we watch. Excuse me. We're jumping ahead now to late 2019 and the screening of The Rise of Skywalker. At the scene I mentioned before, Poe Dameron has sent out a distress signal to anyone within range, asking for help to defeat the Final Order. Notice that these are the ships of the Final Order, and the relation here, the tie, is to news anchors, these in Congress and others who want to see Trump out of the White House. These people are on their last legs. They're desperate to try and keep Trump out by any means necessary. As Poe works with the others to fight back the surging tide of First Order fighters, a massive wave of ships appears in a clearing. But, as a commander aboard a Final Order ship says, these are not military craft. They're civilian fighters. That's the key to the puzzle. It's not the elite who are taking down wickedness in high places. It's ordinary people determined not to let darkness rule. When a fleet of ships arrive, we see commanders aboard a Final Order command ship discussing the situation. The first one says, "Where do they get all these fighter craft? They have no navy." The second one replies, "This is not a navy, sir. It's just people." I talked about this with my family as we walked out of the theater because there was clearly prophetic significance to this scene. Remember that God can use the words of anyone to proclaim his will, even those who don't acknowledge him. As the years of Trump's presidency have pressed on, there have been a consistently negative response against him by the mainstream media, Congress, and governors of various states. This is what we see in the First Order in the film, an unseen united front meant to sweep in an attempt to power grab. And this is just what happened in America. Governors and Congress revealing they are power hungry and taking advantage of this state of emergency to abuse the American people by attempting to take away or violate our rights granted by the Constitution. Freedom to come and go from our homes, freedom to conduct business, freedom to move about within the nation. Things which have been and should be accepted have suddenly been restricted by governors overstepping their bounds. In Luke 19, Jesus tells a story of a man who entrusted money to his servants and left them to invest it for him. Upon returning, he finds that some have followed his instructions, and he congratulates them. The first servant, this is Luke 19, verse 16, the first servant came forward and said, "Master, your mina has produced 10 more minas." His master replied, "Well done, good servant. Because you have been faithful in a very small matter, you shall have authority over 10 cities. The second servant came and said, Master, your mina has made 5 minas. And to this one he said, You shall have authority over 5 cities. Then another servant came and said, Master, here is your mina, which I have laid away in a piece of cloth. For I was afraid of you, because you are a harsh man. You withdraw what you did not deposit, and reap what you did not sow. His master replied, You wicked servant, I will judge you by your own words. So you knew I was a harsh man, withdrawing what I did not deposit, and reaping what I did not sow. Why then did you not deposit my money in the bank, and upon my return I could have collected it with interest? Then he told them standing by, Take the mina from him, and give it to the one who has 10. Master, they said, he already has 10. He replied, I tell you that everyone who has will be given more, but the one who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. What's happening now, right here, is a time of shaking. God is upsetting the systems in place in America and in the world. This includes businesses, government, schools. Anything and everything which is not anchored in Him will be shaken to see whether it will stand the test. As we move into this new time, it will be critical to follow the voice of the Lord as He leads us. Going deeper and deeper, I've discovered that more and more of what seemed, a few years ago, to be stable ground of our cultural landscape is eroding away. Now God is moving in a mighty way, and we need to be sure that we are aware of His voice and His leading as we take our next steps forward. I hope that this video encourages you and gives you direction about how to pray today. Please pray for our president, please pray for our nation, and please pray for truth to be welcome in the halls of government and our media once again. Thank you.